Greetings, Indie Warriors! Welcome to I Dream of Indie Games. My name is OldGamer Joe, and today we're taking a very special look at Grifford Academy, the upcoming RPG from Landshark Games. Launching into Steam Early Access June 25th, 2025. Grifford Academy is described as a coming-of-age RPG, designed as a welcoming entry point for newcomers to the genre. Based on the few hours of gameplay that I've experienced so far, I'd say that description is quite accurate. Before diving into all of the details about this release, I do want to take a moment to thank Landshark Games for sponsoring this video. As always, sponsorship does not impact my opinions on the game, but I do believe in full transparency for our viewers. If you're interested in the game after watching this video, please feel free to use our link in the description box below and head over to the Steam page. Toss it on your wishlist while you're there. So, with all of that said, let's step into the magical world of Grifford Academy. As I mentioned there in my intro, Grifford Academy is a rather accessible RPG that removes many of the complex systems often found in the genre, elements that sometimes intimidate newcomers. Instead, it delivers a streamlined gameplay experience while still incorporating key staples of role-playing games, including turn-based combat, dramatic interactions between a diverse cast of characters, plenty of monsters, and of course, a dastardly villain, or villains. The main cast features 3 students from the magical Grifford Academy, Erica, Viva, and Cap. Without giving away too much, the trio are whisked away into a magical book, which sends them to the realm of Caldria, a world chock full of new characters to meet, hidden secrets to uncover, and sinister forces that must be confronted. Grifford Academy will initially launch in early access, but the full main story will be intact, so early adopters won't have to worry about a cliffhanger. Landshark Games want to ensure that the story, difficulty, and balance of the game will ultimately give gamers the best possible experience. Future updates will place a large focus on tightening up mechanics, putting a nice shine on everything. Another priority will be gathering feedback from players to improve upon things even further. A roadmap will also be dropping soon, which will highlight all of the upcoming additions. The game will be available at a discounted rate during early access, but the price is expected to increase upon its full release. So if you're considering picking it up, diving in early might be the best move. You won't need to repurchase the game later either. The preview build we were supplied with of Grifford Academy was quite robust, consisting of various chapters and hours of gameplay, which gave me a really good understanding of the basic narrative, the gameplay systems, and overall flow and progression. There are 2 difficulty options from the outset. You have Story Mode, which, as you would expect, allows for easier battles so that players can focus on enjoying the story, and a more challenging Strategy Mode, where you'll have to be a bit more on your toes. I tried both modes for the purpose of this video, and the difference is significant. A few hours in, I found Strategy Mode to be tough but fair, while Story Mode remained quite manageable. On the topic of story, Grifford Academy places a strong emphasis on friendship and relationships, shaping much of its tale. Our 3 unlikely heroes interact in often amusing ways, bickering, teasing, and even boosting each other's confidence through player-led choices. Throughout the story, players will face decisions, and these choices provide statistical boosts for characters. For instance, instilling confidence in a character may increase their overall morale, subtly affecting the gameplay. It's a clever system that ensures player choices have at least some meaning to them. At one point in the story early on, the character Viva was feeling down about her current situation, but by selecting an option to place belief in her, she became more assertive. And speaking of those characters, the story begins with Erica and Viva running from enemies and searching for Erica's missing brother Ernest. From here, we are quickly introduced to Grifford Academy's turn-based combat system, which offers no real surprises for RPG veterans. Players and enemies exchange turns, bashing one another with an assortment of different attacks. It's as turn-based gets, though certain enemies are more susceptible to specific attacks. You can gain information on your foes, items, or weapons using a helpful information button. Erica starts out with a hockey stick, but will eventually unlock more weapons alongside the rest of her party. Viva, on the other hand, attacks with a magical book by default, which heals the most injured member of your party. When Cap eventually joins, he relies more on his sword skills. Not only is combat very easy to understand, but so too is the game's leveling system, which involves basic point distribution to stats such as strength and defense. Again, there are no surprises here, making this a really good option for players who might be looking to dip their toes into the RPG genre. Combat and leveling are generally quick, simple, and efficient processes, though an extra layer of strategy comes when choosing new weapons to equip. This involves spending essence, which is earned from defeating foes. This essence can then be spent on new rings and accessories that grant abilities, as well as different weapons ranging from hatchets to a classic bow and arrow. I like the variety of weapons available for purchase, which rather than being displayed on screen, are channeled through your character's default weapon, similar to older RPGs where characters have one primary visual weapon. What's really interesting about Grifford Academy, however, is the way the story is told. The narrative plays out much like a visual novel, featuring longer cutscenes that flesh out the world and characters. Alongside these scenes, there's an overworld map where players select their next destination, whether it's a shop or the next combat scenario that advances the story. What sets Grifford Academy apart a bit is that you don't actually move your characters across the map or through towns. In fact, there's no direct character control outside of battles. Instead, players click on each new destination, triggering the next phase of the story. This approach could be disappointing for those expecting a traditional RPG with extensive on-foot exploration. Instead, the game leans more into visual novel storytelling, with RPG mechanics woven throughout. But that's not necessarily a bad thing, as it's clear that the developers aim to create an extremely accessible experience, and in that regard, Grifford Academy certainly feels like a success. To my surprise, navigating locations and the battle system itself is much smoother when using a mouse and keyboard setup. While a controller is functional, it never feels fluid in comparison and was even a bit clunky, particularly when selecting which enemy I wanted to attack. The upside to the game's design choice, however, is that getting around is easy, your next destination is always clear, and there's no shortage of side objectives from townsfolk. So far, most of these quests follow a similar pattern involving defeating a group of enemies, but at the very least, there seems to be plenty of gameplay hours ahead. Grifford Academy features a rather charming, simplistic art style that fits the tone of the game well. The characters are bright and cheery even in the bleakest of times, the backdrops of the game look solid, and the text and menus were all clear and easy to read. I didn't see a ton of enemies throughout my time with the game, as I only played a few hours so far, but the designs I did come across all seemed solid, from shelled beetles to creepy skeletons. Pretty classic RPG stuff on display here. Everything has a nice hand-drawn quality to it, giving it a storybook-like charm even with the 3D character models. All told, I found the visuals to be one of my favorite aspects of the game so far, and look forward to seeing different environments the further I progress. The soundtrack was quite good too, from the tracks that I heard, with a surprisingly bombastic orchestral vibe. The rousing battle theme was a personal standout for me, but I found just about every track I came across to be pretty pleasant, and quite grandiose given the game's softer tone. When factoring everything, the game has a pretty pleasing visual and audio design to it. Overall, I really enjoyed my brief time with Grifford Academy. As someone who has played countless RPGs, I didn't mind its more laid-back, stress-free approach. Just know what you're getting into. You won't find an endless slew of tutorials, deep gameplay mechanics, or complex crafting systems here. Instead, this is an RPG designed for newcomers to the genre, or those who simply want an accessible experience they can jump into from time to time. It's also playable on Steam Deck, meaning you'll be able to take it on the go without issue. Always a plus. Its quirky cast of characters is fun, the story seems solid, and the visuals and audio quite nice. I even found myself enjoying the turn-based combat despite its simplicity. But hey, I'm a sucker for turn-based combat, what can I say? If Grifford Academy interests you, consider heading down to the description box and using our wishlist link. Launching into Steam Early Access, June 25th, 2025. A huge thank you again to Landshark Games for sponsoring this video. Voice to the voiceless, and I'll see you on the channel for even more indie gaming coverage.